Hello, many thanks for joining us. It's another Friday, and at this time on this channel, it is time for Reporters Lunch. And today, as we always do, we just do analysis of some of the news items that made major newspapers, various platforms in the week. And we actually express opinion here, no doubt about it, as we see those reports. And today is not going to be an exception. On the program here, we generally relax when we're doing this as reporters. And my name is Kayode Taiwo. I am the anchor for today. And I have two guests in-house and one from outside. Yes, I have Simiat Abaru. She's in-house analyst from Ogtv stable here. I'm very sure that you are relaxed to take my questions today.
No problem. Thank you for having me as a guest on the program.
I took your questions last week.
Okay.
So it's my turn to hit you back.
No problem.
And we also have Ayo Aruojolu. He's a very senior journalist with vast experience, both on the field and even at managerial level. Ayo, it's nice having you join us on the program.
Well, it's good to be here.
I'm very sure so many people will say, oh, this is this Ayo that we do listen to on various radio programs.
Exactly.
That's what makes the difference between two.
But I was going to say that when you introduce Simiat as an insider,
Yeah.
are you going to call me an outsider?
You already did.
Well, okay, you are not an outsider. But in this contest, where we have slight difference between the two of you here. All right, we have actually listed some news items for analysis here today. In the course of the week, the governor of Ogun State was at Ogiri, where there was a terrible road crash that led to so many deaths. And he threatened the contractors handling that project. We're also going to look at the NSAS report that was leaked, because we learned that it's not officially out from the government of Lagos State. Also in the course of the week, the Benue governor, Autumn, says that while coming in, President Buhari had so much good intentions for this nation, but some people, which he referred to as cabal, have taken over. We're going to look at this and see the story behind this. Federal government, ASU, it has always been like that for so many years, but this time around, we learned that they reached an agreement. How this one actually came to be, well. And the last one, probably on this program, will be the Inspector General's police directive that no female police officer will be sent out of the barracks for housing their civilian spouses. Because in the course of the week, a news actually came up like that, that from Enugu Command, the female police officers were given up to January next year to leave the barracks if they are living with their civilian spouses. So these are the issues, and if time permits us, maybe we can look at one or two other ones on the show today. So let's get the ball rolling, and let's start from the home front. This time, at least, we usually take the home front as the last before, but today we'll if one takes a proper analysis of that road, the large chunk of that road falls in Ogun State. So most of the time when they say carnage in Ogun, you begin to feel that perhaps, but most times on this Lagos-Ibadan Express road. And this last one was a very, very bad one. Ayo, let me start from you. The governor visited that place and he threatened the contractors. Meanwhile, that road is presently under federal government contract. How do you see this?
Yeah, thank you. If you ask me, it's not about the need for threats. It looks like what is the norm today is that you award a contract 7, 8, 9, 10 years, they are still on. I want to believe that the distance between Lagos and Ibadan is just about 100 kilos or thereabout. If you also navigate towards the Shagamu-Benin Expressway, coming all the way from, I think, Ore or so, the particular contractor there has been there for only God knows when, maybe like the past 8, 9 years. They are doing a very good job, starting from the Ore end. Gradually, they are towards the Ijebu area. So, coming to Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, I want to believe that if all things are okay, all things being equal, Julius Berger, for example, should have the capacity, to be able to reconstruct such a road for 1, 2 years. I know that Julius Berger handles the stretch from Shagamu interchange to Lagos, while the other one is, given to RCC. But there may be something wrong about the structure of payments.
Okay.
And this is, we don't have to wait till even Mr. Governor, His Excellency will go there and threaten them, but they need to, balance all the structures. If they have a timeline, they say, upon the release of XYZ percentage. But what do you find out? Even to get some of this money approved in the budget is usually a lot of ding-dong. And this queries the seriousness of government at the federal level. There have been other roads done, elsewhere in this country, and they have done it with speed. This Lagos, Ibadan, look at Ogumaki. I used to view the advisory of the Federal Road Safety, Commission every day, and you see that Ogumaki is a hotbed. One thing or the other, one thing or the other. I think the government should, the governor's warning to them, if it will speed them up, but then the financial content should also be looked at.
Okay. Now, Seniors, if you look at that Ogiriazis going towards Ogumaki, it's haven for trailers. There are so many of them around that place. And I also recall that Ogun State government in the past built trailer park, but these drivers will not go into that place. So narrowing down the available space for other drivers and all of that. When you look at all of this, do you see the accident around that place as possibly as a result of construction work going on there or some other things? What's your take on this particular issue?
Okay, I think what the governor was actually trying to say is that those things that happen, the kind of accident that we experienced in that particular axis are avoidable. He talked about, the contractors, threatening them. There are no signposts, there is no warning signs and all of that. You're approaching this and all. Those are the rules of engagement. What exactly do they need to put on the road for road users to be able to effectively use the road? So if you're a contractor and you've been paid, even though you're not being paid the complete money, but of course the stretch that you're working on, you should at least show some level of professionalism in that regard. So I think also that we should also look at, it goes beyond the contractors now, the drivers, the truck drivers that you mentioned. Who are those driving these trucks? When you look at our road here, Ajib Road here, and you see the kind of persons driving these trucks, you'll be wondering, how were they recruited into being a driver in the first place? And you've heard report of them, going on all kinds of drugs just because they want to meet up, they have to stay up and all of that. So I think it goes beyond just threatening them. It also is a step further that I think the governor should do by also looking deeper into what people have been saying about how truck drivers and of course, articulated trucks, of course, drivers, what they've been doing on the roads and how they get, how certified they are in the first place to drive, so that we don't continue to record all this kind of carnage all the time. And yes, the governor has said something that is very beautiful, that he is going to make sure, they pay for it and all of that. But of course, that's good, and that's one of the things we've been talking about. When people know there are consequences for what they do, maybe we'll start to do the right things.
All right, thank you so much. Ayo, let's go a little bit further in this. I recall sometimes in the past, even when that road was in perfect shape, in the early part of its construction, you see our road managers, particularly the Federal Road Safety Corps at that time, they do motorized checks on that road. They will start from Lagos with their motorbike. They make sure they maintain 100 kilometers per hour to Ibadan. You dare not pass them. If we have all this still in place, do you think we'll still be having all these crises we are having? Then they also always make sure that slow vehicles don't move on fast lane. All these are no more there. What do you think? Do you see possibility of returning to this kind of motorized checking on these roads to prevent? Will this prevent all this?
Okay, thank you. Let me first align with the views expressed by Senior that many of these road accidents are clearly avoidable. I agree with that. Now, we need to go further by acknowledging the efforts of the road managers, particularly the Federal Road Safety, Commission men. They're really doing a great job. What can we think out of the box? I think where His Excellency the Governor can come in the territory called Ogun State, can we, because many of these road accidents, from my own, my own statistic, about 70% of them have to do with, trucks. 70% of them. Can we now suggest to the government, if they cannot do it nationwide, because you find out that within the last 20 years or so, there's an influx of trailers in Nigeria. What are these for? If our railway has been functioning very properly, we would not need, but now a lot of people already invested in, trucks. Many of these, there are people who say on the street that they are part of the people who are, frustrating genuine efforts of government, because many of them, they bring trailers in droves in terms of purchases, like 1,000, bring them from overseas. Where do you want them to get money? But if we can think out of the box and re-strategize, no trailer must move in the daytime. Let them be moving in the night.
But they tried it in the past. Even the situation got worsened because they will now have so many of them at the same time. So if you are a private car driver or commercial bus, possibly you are coming from somewhere that you have to run through the night, you are exposed to more difficult situations.
That's what we are saying. See, in the past,
yes,
there is nothing that cannot work. People are just they are just being regimental. People want to just say, no, let's just follow this one. In this same country, I told my children, there were times that you can't buy petrol. If you remember in the 80s, there are days that your vehicles cannot go out. An odd number and even number. I think it was done by Jack Onde or so. You see, let's try something. They have laws. But these laws are not working. Even here in Abeokuta, there are laws that, trailers must not be seen by this hours. But I just drove past here.
Apart from when they need to come out, you also need to check a whole lot of things. I think if we all respect other road users, there might not be so much problem like we do have it. And then we also have, like you talked about, the management of these roads. And yes, apart from the management of these transporters, people that, they also have roles to play in all of this. If they make sure the right vehicle, the right trucks are on the road, at times you see there is a failure of their brakes. At times you see that, the person driving was just reckless. Those are reasons why people say they are avoidable. If the agencies responsible for taking care of all these things are put in, or they put more effort, as they have been doing, they put more effort into what they are doing, we might not have it the way we've been having it.
Well, all right, so I'm very sure that those who are supposed to take care of that aspect of, the management of the roads will do that, because even on our road here, when you look at the way these truck drivers, most times they behave like they are above the law.
Exactly.
And I think it's high time that the state government also put necessary machinery in motion to be very hard on them, because at any given time they cause these crashes. You discover that lives are lost. You won't even identify the driver. They will just come down and disappear. And by the time you get back to that place, the vehicle will have been towed away, and they follow up. You just discover that maybe the guy was locked up for 1, 2, 3 days. They take the bail,
and then that's the end.
And I think we must not lose, sight of the issue of licensing. And the processes
many of them, because we see some of them that are so young.
So young.
And many of them will pull off their shirts, wearing, some will just not wear anything at all.
And you see them with all kinds of drinks.
We need to also look at the powers being wielded by their unions.
I think it's the threat to the contractors by the state governor is quite appropriate at this time, and I think that threat also should go to all those truck owners and all of them, so that we can have a safe road. All right, let's take our next topic that has to do with the report of the NSAS panel in Lagos. There have been so many things in various platforms. They are saying that this particular report is yet to be released. The state government has just put together a committee to do a white paper, and already, but when you look at this issue of leakage, I want us to even start this discussion from that leakage or not. In this kind of findings, do you think this leakage has done good other than, it has done bad other than good? What's your opinion on this? Let's start from the leakage itself.
Okay. For me, I think even before the report was released, some of the people, some of the panelists, the people that constituted the panel, they already stated that if government tried to, dodge the original report, they are going to make it public. I was waiting for them to allow government, because of course they also sign an oath, just so they could protect the document. That had to do with the transparency angle of it. They talk about protecting the document actually, and of course not speaking to the public until the government and all of that looked into the matter. So for me, the leak, yes, it just confirmed one thing. Most Nigerians believed what happened during the NSAS was what was contained in that report. Most Nigerians believe that. But then we have to go beyond emotions. I think emotions don't really solve any problem. It creates more problem for us. So when you look at what people have said about it, I read the report from the finding stage, from the recommendation, and of course the conclusion, and yes, the list of people that died and were injured during the protest. And I was very, very, I was to a reasonable extent, I feel the document has done something, started a conversation around what actually happened at Lekki, but it's not a completely a perfect document, because you see that not all the stakeholders in that document, especially in the angle of the recommendations, were looked. There are people flying all kinds of fake news, misinformation. At least a recommendation should go to them, even though they are not going to be punished, so that we can avoid. Why do we do what we do? Why do they set up the panel? We don't want a repeat of it. So if people that contributed directly or indirectly into what happened or the kinds that happened at that place are not also sanctioned in a way, then it means that a repeat might come up next, we don't even know when. So everybody should get the fair share. So if I am being punished for what I did or for my participation in that protest or at that event, then I should also feel like you are also there. You also got your own fair share of the punishment, not just me being punished right now, because we all need the services of these people along the line. If it is the media, if it is the military, if it is the police, we still need their services. We still need the media to function, so that we won't continue to repeat the same mistake. When things happen, we just try to look at these issues critically and not allow our emotions to guide us.
To guide us. Okay,
Yes.
all right. What's your take, Ayo, on this?
Well, I would be a little bit different.
Okay.
And for the reason that, this is almost like a media show where the fourth estate of the realm.
Yeah.
You see, we have a sacred duty to be the watchdog,
Yeah.
of government in the task of governing the society. And the sole purpose is to make the society better. I'm afraid the media has inadvertently become also part of the problem. I would say, like one scripture said, you cannot do anything against the truth, but for the truth. Let me tell you, what is now happening shows that the government does not really want to go the whole hog, while they were muting the idea of setting up those panels. Recall, last year, even the president made an admission that these people, what they were doing, would have that their intention was to send him out of office. We saw sobriety. And the president seemed to have agreed that time last year that, okay, these people, they were right. There was police brutality, no doubt about that, and they tried to respond to some of those problems. They, started this SWAT or so. But we were saying then that, no, this is just being reactive. They said they don't want SARS. You acknowledge that their issue, their clamor was right. But hurriedly, you changed the name. What has changed is just nomenclature. Now, I agree with that report. I don't know whatever anybody says. If you ask me, when the report came out on Monday, and on Tuesday we were analyzing this thing, there is something truth does. It calms down your nerves. Any government can make a mistake. Everybody is human.
Yeah.
But you see, there must be an admission of the truth. Where you need to apologize, you apologize and move on. You must know that this is not the first time we will have such report. We had an Ogtv panel. Yeah. We had many other panel reports.
Where I disagree with him is the aspect of, the report is out. Yeah. And people are even saying that there are names in the report that are actually, there are people in that list that are actually not dead.
But don't forget that as I sit down here with you, I have two friends who bear the same name with me.
That's the point. See,
So,
you know, somebody
so the
asked
one they
me,
have might be the one that is
somebody
there.
asked me, because the thing is, there are a lot of names that came up, you know, in the course of the protest. Let's not forget the temperature, the atmosphere of the country as at that time, which of course, I agree with what you said, that the president himself even came out recently during the interview with Arise TV that some people, you can't contest that if you happens to be the president, the first thing you would do is, I don't know, the first thing you do is you want to protect your space, right?
No, but if I'm the president,
protecting your space shouldn't mean that you should do something that grievous to other Nigerians. I agree with you. The issue I am saying, what I'm saying, where I differ a bit is that the report, as I have seen it, is not entirely a perfect document that we would have to, because number one, somebody was on air yesterday, I was talking about the fact that a particular woman, the wife of a police officer, the son was killed while the son was trying to obey the curfew that the government, that woman's aspect of it was not included in that report. It means that there are still some aggrieved persons, there are still some people that are not captured in that document.
Yeah, so what you are saying is that the document itself might not be perfect, but we have not seen the details. You want to say something?
I want to say that, look, you will not get any perfect anything anywhere. And these, you know, discrepancies, these some omissions, or they're not enough to disprove this document. We must give it to those people on that panel. You see, what has happened now has exposed the fact that there are about two forces, the forces of light and the forces of darkness. That's the way I see it. You see, let me tell you, those guys did a fantastic job. I read the Owonikoko, the Lagos State Council, and I cannot find, I don't really find a basis in what he has said.
No, he said a whole lot. You read, I watched it.
No, I saw, okay. You know, but let me tell you, when some of us are experienced, if government puts me in a panel, I should be smarter. And that accounts for why the likes of Abeokuta, some people have names to protect. You see, many other Nigerians have integrity issues. You must know where you are coming from. As media men, for example, we have dealt with government of all hues. And you need to be smart. You know, all the June 12, the Beku, all those things that happened during Abacha, many politicians went down because they were not smarter than those people. If a government, okay, look at what the president said yesterday before the U.S. secretary that was visiting, and said they needed to allow the system to run itself. If the report had said there was no massacre, I'm sure the president would not have said that. So the issue is this. The president, the federal government, they are the one who set up, who asked that the panels be set up. And nothing has been happening. You know, so they are a party. Because they are the ones that deploy the military to go there.
Yeah.
So the issue now is, if we must move forward on this issue, they should allow those people who want to work on that white paper. But I am saying, when God has a hand in an issue, that's why the whole thing leaked like that. Because some people say, we will not allow you to rubbish us. There's a way a document can just go. There have been many panels reports.
Yes, I agree with him, but then I believe before we can get to the root of all of these things, we should allow all the questions to start coming up right now. Anybody that has questions should ask. I can't, because the report was, done by a particular team, and of course, because I also feel that if you are recommending, based on the recommendations I read, there was no word of caution to those spreading fake news. I was expecting that because I had to deal with a lot of fake information because a friend was sending me all kinds of that. That, of course, I recall what happened in Rwanda. You know, I was seeing scores. The media, the person that was indirectly, you know, making hate speeches on radio, propagating the genocidal ideas, he was punished along the line. Why? And he realized eventually when he was testifying that he never knew that he was actually committing it was actually leading people into committing genocide at that point. If people of that nature, if the media is also not included as to what you spread and what, of course, we know what fake news is doing to the world today. It's not just in Nigeria.
But in this case, there is no fake news. It's just that a leakage.
What I'm saying is this. Yes. It's not about the leakage. It's talking about the events. That there were things that were circulated that were not true. Then people should also be cautioned as to what you share on your media, on your social media.
Can I ask you a question?
That's my point.
You know why I won't.
It's just to balance it. I'm saying that I'm not disregarding what was contained in that document. I'm saying that for every other persons, every other parties to get their own version, they should also note that what they did at that point was also things that they should avoid because of
the issue that brought this is purely on the leakage, whether it is appropriate or not. I thank the two of you that you have also gone further to do some further analysis on it. I just wanted us to look at that a document of that importance that some people just leaked. Now everybody is just having a field day, even when they have not probably studied the report itself and all of that. So,
but there's no argument about the leak. You are talking about leakage. No argument about content of the report.
Yeah, but don't forget that the government still need to work on this report for the white paper to be presented. Now that already the report is in the public space where people are already making different kinds of submissions and all of that, that itself can affect the output of the white paper team. I
agree with you, Mr. Taiwo, but now that the report is out,
yes,
maybe we need to make public our own persuasion too. Oh, you thought there was no gunshots. Oh, is that what Senior believes?
No, I didn't believe that.
When you look at the history
they died, they still tell us they don't die. No, they died, they still tell us they don't die. So you can't say
we have to move on. We are not setting up another panel. So, we are only looking at the reports, the pages of dailies and all right, let's take the next one, which it has to do with Governor Autumn's alarm on cabals. When you say cabal taking over Nigeria, I don't really know whether we like it or not. It is few people that would administer a country, no matter the population. Do we take those who are leading us as cabals, or what do you think Governor Autumn is actually talking about in this report? This is alarm over cabals taking over Nigeria. What's your thinking about this?
Okay, thank you very much. To me, cabal.
The way you even call cabal itself,
it's because of the privileged position we have been monitoring the governments in and out, successive government. We have seen it all.
Okay.
But you see, we want a better society. Something the scripture says, righteousness exalts a nation, and sin is a reproach. That word sin means when you are calling white black, when you are calling black white. Let's do things right. So cabal can be positive and it can be negative.
Okay.
Nobody can single-handedly get into office and handle the tax of this country. Cabal means these are people that I also rely upon. These are people that I trust their judgment. We are facing the same direction. We have the same goal. But cabal in Nigerian context means some people are untouchable. Some people are powerful.
above the law.
They are above the law. And those ones cannot be removed. There have been people in this country that have occupied positions even when there were scandals. The people who put them there just look the other way. They look the other way because this person cannot be taught. We know those who are the present cabal. I'm not going to mention any name. Yeah. But what we are saying is that the task of government is huge. Okay. You need people to be able to trusted hands. When Obasanjo was there, at least to a lot of extent, former President Obasanjo did not have the problem that some of the other governments have. While Obasanjo was there, he had a chief of staff who was a northerner. Yes, he also had a national security advisor who was a northerner. Even though he had somebody in charge of DSS who was maybe from Egba, from this client. See, there's a balancing of power. This country, Nigeria, is a pluralistic society, very multi-ethnic. So you can't just come and say, I'm going to put my people there. These have been the consistent argument. For example, you have a National Security Council, and you have membership that are, skewed towards the side. Some even say only 2 from the South. These are issues.
Yeah.
So, if you want to have cabal, Obasanjo had cabals when he was there, but those cabals did not have to be Yorubas. Those are the issues. But now there are people who are, and they are almost untouchable. If you are not helping your principal, if you have people who have some other, or there are, for example, there have been people who did marriages for their children. They are the ones talking against the money laundering. And they are the ones you see them piling up dollars. It's not, this society should not be like that. If it were Obasanjo era, I'm sure he probably would have made somebody a scapegoat. Remember, Tafa Balogun, the Inspector General then, was a Yoruba man.
Okay.
That's how a leader does. There's a video circulating where former President Obasanjo advised the president, these people who are doing security, they are your people. What makes you as a leader? So deal with it and don't be and behave as if you are president of a section. These are some of the issues.
So the report on Governor Otom, to a larger extent, it's
of course very correct, and you must know that Governor Otom, I don't know where he got the boldness. Ordinarily, I'm also courageous, but he must be a super courageous man, speaking truth to power. I often wonder about his safety, but to me, when you see a man consistently, speaking what no ordinary people could not speak, you listen to him.
Senior.
Well, I think we're talking about the issue of representation, across board. If Governor Otom is talking about cabals, like he said, positive and negative ones, the job cannot be done by just one person. He needs a group of people that he can always fall back on for decisions to be taken and all that. And I think that's valid. But I disagree with the fact that because somebody is from a particular region, then that person should represent or should govern well, being the fact that, okay, it's like the turn by turn kind of a thing. And I also want to agree with what he said that when we talk about Nigeria, the president of the country is expected to be a Nigerian. And being a Nigerian is not to say that you are because you're from, the Southwest, then you have to govern, like you have to protect the interest of the Southwesterners more than every other part. We need a Nigerian to always occupy that position, somebody that would look at what we have and explore our differences for good. And there's another narrative that people will push that, okay, you know, some people would say that it is our turn, because those people believe that the moment we get to our turn, we get our fair share of the national cake. And some will say that it is your turn, you're doing it. But then others will say that because it is not our turn, then we have to distort everything, or we have to stop everything you're doing just so it will move to our turn the next time it's coming. So all of this thing, you see that Governor Autumn has responsibility. One thing I would continue to say is that what exactly is he also doing as the governor of the state to unite his people? It goes beyond looking at what the president is doing. What is you, the governor of that state, doing to make sure everybody is well represented? And the plight of the people are the things you're also you know, attending to in your state, and not just a blame game. He has been talking all the while. And I think the talk has not really changed so much of the thing.
Let me quickly ask you this, so that we move on to the next one, which has to be, when you follow the developments in Benue State since past few years, and you are the governor of that state, you have visited the president, you know, informing him, showing evidences of certain things, and yet you are not getting response. Won't you say anything at all?
Well, like you said, if I was the governor of that state, you know, the thing is this, for me, the development in that particular state is very critical to every other thing. And then whatever thing that you're bringing, that's why I said we need a Nigerian to occupy that position, just so everybody will get the attention.
So it means he might be right with his call.
For him, consistently, what I'm saying in essence is this. He consistently, there was a point in time that he wasn't, you just begin to wonder. The only thing he was doing was consistently attacking the group of the president. But I think we need to use different tactics these days.
Was he attacking the group of the president like...
He was not, he has not been attacking the group of the president. What he has been doing is this. You see, you must understand the proper narrative for the Nigerian nation. Nigeria is a federation. So, you know, the governor has... He occupies a spatia. You know, the governor is not an errand boy of the president. You see, we have this hangover from the military that seems to suggest that the president can just bamboozle all the governors. No, a governor that knows what he is doing. See, what happened in the case of Benue? You can't sit here and be talking about whether he's working for his people. His people know, they know who is doing this thing. But you know that his people were endangered. Remember, insecurity was rife there like 3-4 years ago. His people were endangered species. And, you know, I don't want to mention the ethnic tribe, but his people were constantly killed with impunity. And he had no other means. He goes to the IG, he gets they pushed him away, he goes to here and there, then he chose this. I'm telling you, the party he has chosen is working. Because if you ask them in
you know why I said what I said. I had a lecturer that was from Benue State. She was telling us practically in class about an incident that happened in that state. He talked about the fact that some persons were killed amongst his family members, and then by herdsmen. And she said again that there was a reprisal and they killed several Fulani people. He said that killing happened and nobody reported. She's from there. So it means that there is problem.
You said something. You said repressor attack.
Yes.
All right. So that means it was a reaction to an action. Anyway, the report simply says that Governor Autumn raises alarm that cabals have taken over Nigeria. Is his opinion, and it was well reported. That's why we're discussing it. So whether it is true or not, we leave that to the public opinion. I mean, public space for. Let's move on. Let's move on, and let's take this one briefly before the last topic. FG ASU finally reached agreement. I think you should clap for. I think you should.
Let's clap for all of them.
Yes, because from time immemorial, even when I was in the university, FG ASU, they had issues. They are still having, and they will still have, at least for now, because they were supposed to start a strike from this coming Monday. If
Yes,
that their
they're
threat is
coming,
anything.
yes.
Now, you are close to that environment. And I don't know whether you are also a unionist in that environment.
No, I'm not.
You are not, okay.
I'm not.
Now, but let's look at this new development. This report says FG ASU finally reached an agreement.
That's a good news.
Okay.
One thing you cannot take away from ASU, I don't belong to ASU, you know, but I said on a radio station yesterday, the situation now has given more respectability to ASU. ASU seems to be about the only union, maybe a few others that are standing in the country. Others, when they announce their strike, the government will just look the other way. When you strike, you sit down at home, you wake up.
And they will threaten no work, no pay.
But you see, the issues, ASU is a talk and do union. They say they want to go on strike, and they go on the strike. At the end of the day, you come back to their issues. That is the way a union should go. Where are the unions in Nigeria? That is the issue. I don't belong to unions, but I am union. I have union orientation.
And you say you don't belong to union, and you work in an environment where...
No, I certainly belong to, yes, I will have my... I belong to NUJ, for example.
Because of is NUJ really a union or a professional body?
You would tell us, because you should know too. But the important thing, what we are saying is this. Yeah. There is more respectability for ASU
now.
You know? And I want to, quickly add that, you see, there's a lot of divide and rule in the university system. For example, the IPPIS. If you go to the universities now, go anywhere, everybody is crying. It was not a proper thing. Those other unions should not have faced the direction of governor when ASU was crying. But you see, divide and rule, there is no IPPS in customs. There's no IPPS in CBA. There's no IPPS in the military.
So it shouldn't be.
Why make the university
very good? IPPS in the military.
In the military?
Yes, there is.
You need to confirm that.
No, you can check yourself.
In the armed forces?
Yes. They have entered. They finally entered.
Okay.
So what's your take on this? Because want to take the last topic now.
My take is the future of the country. If strike is what we would have to be using to end, our issues, is very worrisome. You see NRC also going on strike.
That's railway.
Railway corporation.
And the report is saying that we are losing about 650 something million.
So for me, I think ASU is strong. Fine, that's
strong because they are consistent.
But then the issues, they are researchers. What other thing can we do? And I think the politicians and of course the leaders should also, they don't just, you come to the round table to discuss and agree, and you don't agree to what you don't.
Most of the time, implementation has always been.
That's what I'm saying now. That you come to the table.
Let's just hope that this one that they finally reach.
You don't.
And we must not neglect the fact that there are problems within the university system.
And we'll leave that one.
Okay.
We'll leave the problem for university to solve. Let's quickly take the last major headline here. IGP says no female police officer will leave the barrack because they are civilian. This one has to do with female police officers.
Why would you? Everything we've been discussing.
Yes, I only said IGP says female.
Then you are facing me as a female.
But when we started this discussion, when we started this program, I started with you now. You didn't complain.
No, they didn't start with me. Yes.
Okay, no problem. But this one, I will ask you first. I will ask you. No, on a serious note, when you say female, when a state commissioner of police says that he gave police officers, female police officers with their civilian spouses to leave barracks. In the first instance, when you read that news, how did you feel as a woman? Well,
to me, there are always rules, you know, when you engage this kind of, for him to have said that, maybe he has an authority to do that.
But it's a CP, not the IGP.
What I'm saying in essence is, for this to even come up, whether it's CP or it's the IGP, I guess they just changed it. There was, you know, the PPRO for Ogun State Command was also telling us, you know, educating us on why they don't allow females, why they allow, they ask the female police officers to actually inform them when they are getting married or something, so that
that's
they
for those ones that are not married. What about those that are?
So he explained, the thing is, they might be having issues. So we shouldn't just say because the man has said they should do it, though we have to be gender sensitive. But then, if there are issues being recorded where a man would be staying in the barracks and constituting nuisance, you know, in the barracks, that needs to be addressed. So, but that notwithstanding, it shouldn't be a general thing. If it sounded discriminatory, okay, so that's what I feel. But I think for them to have talked about, if there are issues, they should just try and address those issues that they have with with females bringing their spouses into the barracks.
It's the IGP that is now giving counter directive now.
Okay, well, I saw the video in passing, but I know that an issue might have cropped up, but you don't just because of one issue or even two issues. You know, there's a way in this country we want to solve a problem, we create another problem. Let me say that who even wants to live in a barrack? Have you seen the barracks? So it's a privilege for a staff of the police to, I mean, it's a privilege on the part of the police
that people want to live in their barracks.
People should live in their barracks.
No, I think they stop most of their, maybe they feel like you might get information from
but
them.
But have you seen the barracks lately?
and what about the male police officers who also married civilian wives?
Naturally, they believe women are not harmful.
Oh, okay. Women are not harmful. That's why we are going to draw the curtain today. women are not harmful. At least I've heard that one from Sylvia. But what we see, and in most places, we see a lot of things that women are doing. Anyway, let me thank Ayo for coming on the program. I thank you so much because it was not, I think it was fairly late for me to engage you, and you said, okay, you do all you can to be here.
Thank you for having me. I'm on vacation anyway, so you got me so easily.
Journalists on vacation. So that I also thank you too.
Thank you
for your thoughts and your the feminine side to this discussion and analysis. I also thank the viewers out there for being part of the program today. That's Reporters Lounge. There are so many topical issues from various dailies, and of course we can't exhaust all, but we thank you for being part of this today. Thank God it's also Friday, and we also commiserate with the entire Ogun State Council of Nigerian Union of Journalists on demise of the former chairman, Mr. Soji Amosu. At about this time, he should about to be lowered into the grave. We pray that the Lord will console the family. Well, until we come again next week on this show, I leave in the hands of Almighty God. Bye-bye.